Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar. My name is Rochelle Fleming, and I'm on the Americas Industry Partner Marketing team. And I'd like to thank you for taking the time to be at this webinar, which is Scalability, Security, and AI, taking advantage of Teamcenter X on Azure. We are happy to have you here. And I'd like to introduce you to today's two speakers. We have Alesh Olegovich, who is the head of product management for Teamcenter at Siemens, and he's responsible for one of the leading product lifecycle management products on the market. His notable past contributions include formulating the go-to-market strategy for Simulia at Dassault System and leading pivotal strategy initiatives in the ground transportation sector at X Corporation. His career is distinguished by innovative and strategic contributions to the engineering field. He has authored around 100 publications covering both fundamental research and practical implementations, significantly impacting the automotive and industrial sectors. His leadership and technical innovations have been instrumental in shaping the design and optimization processes of nearly every vehicle on the road today. He also holds a PhD degree in engineering physics. Mike Gardner leads digital engineering initiatives in the Microsoft's America's Manufacturing and Mobility Industry Advisory. And for over 25 years, he has led digital transformation projects in the automotive, aerospace, defense, industrial machinery, high-tech, consumer goods, chemical, pharmaceutical, resource, and engineering services industries. In this next half hour, you're going to get the chance to hear from these two experts specifically around the areas which include engineering trends and challenges, top scenarios, the future of engineering and PLM, Siemens and Microsoft and their Better Together story, and also next steps of how you can get started. So thank you again for being here. We're excited to have you a part of this webinar. And with that, Mike, I will hand it to you.
Thanks, Rochelle. Happy to be here sharing our views at Microsoft. Certainly what we're seeing in the industry is that the increased product and process complexity is creating challenges for the engineering workforce. As you can see by some of the research results, the increase in complexity is scaling exponentially in products and so forth. But the engineering workforce isn't keeping pace with that, and that's creating huge challenges in these organizations. In addition to that, the number of tools per engineer is also increased, as well as the interaction between different engineering departments, which adds to the challenges. On top of that, there are all sorts of bottlenecks within the process that are inhibiting progress. For example, 35% of engineers are missing due dates within the design process. Or the vast majority of executives don't have enough information to help monitor the productivity of their technical workforce. Similarly, there's increased global collaboration, yet a lot of those mechanisms are inadequate to support the functions between the different groups and so forth, as well as the challenge in terms of the individuals who are contributing technical input or providing the research or design tasks are spending a lot of time doing non-value added tasks. At Microsoft, we see a huge opportunity that's being realized by our partner ecosystem that's critical to customer success in terms of supporting design and engineering on the cloud. Our mission is to empower every engineer to achieve more. And the way we see that manifesting itself is by accelerating engineering across the product lifecycle, improving developer velocity, providing AI assistance to design and engineering functions, as well as providing better connectivity to global expertise. When we look at supporting product lifecycle management with Azure, what that helps us do is really accelerate distributed development and increase process performance. So getting benefits like engineering anywhere, improving speed and agility, or adding automation or insights from AI, providing a consistent process. These are all some of the benefits that customers are experiencing using product lifecycle management on the cloud. And what that's doing is it's increasing the speed of the processes as well as reducing time to market, cutting down lead times, reducing non-value added tasks like in document control or in engineering change and support processes. And that's really allowing, companies to benefit more, capture more revenue as a result of providing better products and services. And there's a number of customers that have already realized these types of benefits. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alesh, who's one of our top partners at Siemens.
Thanks, Mike. So we are definitely living in very interesting times where we have to deal with a lot of benefits, but also challenges coming with all the developments due to modern technology advancements. So what you see here on the screen and is a animation of a digital thread in automotive industry. It is composed of several work streams that you see on the left side. And what is being done here, we are having a transition from bill of materials all the way to the bill of processes. So the data is being transferred while the work is being done. And what is neat here is that you can see the digital thread from many different levels. You can see it from, let's say, top executive level all the way down to individual workflows where people are pretty much clicking on certain features in their tool sets or executing tasks. But this is something that really helps us when we think about what we need to do, how is the data being used, where does the data need to be stored, and what can we do to, on one hand, enable collaboration, but then also improve the efficiency between many different teams that are bringing product to the market. So on the next slide, we have a typical example of what are the benefits that we can offer when all these things that we are working on are brought on the cloud and we provide services, in this particular case, our Siemens Accelerator to the customers. So what this enables is integrated collaboration and workflows, one secure platform where everybody can operate from, personalized modular solutions that can address different users and different companies to use these tools to get competitive advantage over other companies, and enable expert communities. When we implement this on the cloud, we see many advantages, and our customers are reporting 1/3 faster time to market, significant reduction of the IT cost. In the average is about 60% what we hear. Of course, all the tool sets that we provide are 100% up to date, and in the entire capabilities built in the scalability. So if we look at a typical product that we put on the market at Siemens on the next slide, NXX, which is a cloud version of our CAD product that has a very broad usage. And we ask ourselves, how many clicks does it take to fully deploy an NXX with the built-in data management? And you can see that the answer is a very small number, it's 5. So this is something that provides huge advantage to our customers. And I think that this is going to result in continuous growth of the services that we provide on the cloud. So on the next slide, you can see an operation in a manufacturing plant, which is something that, of course, is very complex. There are many processes that the people have to do in a plant. And in this particular place, what we are doing is now using actually AI to start communicating with a simulation tool in place and do something that before used to require a expertise in programming. And in this case, you just communicate that you need more storage place. You tell that to the program. And if you were paying attention on the left side, the number of shells just automatically increase kind of by magic. So this is where we are heading. So providing these tool sets on the cloud and enrich that with all the modern technologies, including AI, to enable more efficiency and better collaboration. And in the last slide that I have, I would like to address one last thing that we clearly see is going to have a big impact on the usage, especially AI in manufacturing, and these are modalities. As we were able to monitor, observe all the progress that has been done in last year when ChatGPT was, for example, increasing its capabilities in increasing ability to first analyze text, then images, code, videos. We are now on track to add several modalities that are very important for engineering, and we already started seeing progress in those areas. And these are all the modalities that you see on the right side. And with the increase of AI capabilities in these areas, we're going to start seeing really amazing things where our communication with the tools that we provide is going to be almost seamless. And as that is going to be provided on the cloud, we can see significant improvements in bringing products to the market.
All right. Well, thank you, Alesh, so much. Thanks for going through the specifics in regard to PLM and to Siemens. And we're going to go into our last part of the webinar, which is a panel discussion. So both Alesh and Mike are going to be here to ask some questions around PLM, around the future, and around next steps that you can take to kick off this process. So the first one I wanted to ask you about is related to digital engineering and to PLM. And today, for many organizations, this has become such a significant strategy for them, not only from just a people perspective, but the budget and investment that they're putting in. And so wanted to get both of your takes. And Alesh, if we could start with you, as far as what are you seeing as current state and current trends around digital engineering and PLM practices today?
Yeah, so there are, I would say, three major trends that we see on a daily basis. One is that the complexity of the products is continuously increasing. So pretty much every product today has a software component, electronics component, and so this means that we have different modalities in products, and we have different groups that have to work together, and that definitely increases the complexity of what needs to be done. Second, we have ability to bring a product in a way quickly through the design process all the way to manufacturing, so we can. If we are organizing our work well, we can have almost a seamless connection from the concept all the way to manufacturing. It's not easy to achieve, but it's possible. And when the companies achieve that, they can achieve a very high level of efficiencies, shorter time to market, and reduce cost of the entire process. But of course, in order for them to be able to do that, they have to invest quite a bit in the processes that they use and how they manage the data. Because in the end, at the core of pretty much the entire digital transformation and digital twin is the data that describes, on one hand, the digital twin and the digital transformation process. So when the companies do these things right, things start to work together like magic, but of course it's not easy to achieve that state, and the companies are definitely motivated to do that. At the same time, they're also aware of the cost and the time that a process like this is going to take to be implemented.
Awesome.
So Mike, do you have an additional perspective?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the current state of digital engineering and PLM, when I started at Microsoft a few years ago, it felt like nobody thought engineering or PLM was going to get to the cloud. But now it seems almost inevitable that the entire process is going to be there. There's a few things that are big factors. I think the pandemic was a huge catalyst because it really was a forcing function for testing and adopting remote cloud-based engineering. And, for the people who doubted it, what happened is, as they tested and experienced it, they didn't really want to go back because they could kind of really see the potential in terms of working on much larger models or bigger problems or solving things in parallel. So now that the experience is there, people are really motivated to utilize it. The other thing is there's always been a huge interest in artificial intelligence and machine learning, but what I'd seen is there'd been kind of difficulty implementing that at scale. And a lot of those projects were kind of confined to a few people, and the results weren't necessarily widely seen. But, with the launch of ChatGPT, there's been such a huge impact in terms of adopting that. And many of our customers are exploring the promises and potential of generative AI and co-pilots. And so that's really exploding right now.
No, that's great. Thank you both for just the insight into kind of current state and the importance of data, and really how it's evolved the last few years and it's become top of mind, and where we're at with the latest technologies around Gen AI and co-pilots. Just to move a little bit more towards kind of the decision-making process and more the motivation of like, why are companies moving and becoming early adopters to cloud PLM, and what are they using as conversation points when they're talking to the rest of the folks within their organization? So Mike, what are you hearing and seeing as you're talking to different organizations around the movement and how they're trying to evolve and become early adopters of cloud PLM?
Yeah, I mean, I think the people who are motivated, are already up against the complexity challenge that we've already talked about, and they want to either manage that or get ahead of the curve. For existing PLM customers, a lot have out of date, on-premise environments. They're getting unruly or not performing as they'd like. They maybe lost some people that were supporting it, and that also creates extra challenges. They're also up against increasingly difficult security management and IP protection. Almost every manufacturer that I know is being attacked. And the sophistication of the attackers is increasing as well. And so there's a need to kind of get ahead of that to contain it. And, cloud technologies and cloud-based security is the way to manage that. The demands to securely collaborate more, right, with customers and partners, faster, better than before. Again, any friction between those interfaces is slowing down the process. And when it's more complex and there's more interactions, there's motivations to streamline that. And then IT also has a forcing function. Certainly a lot of enterprise applications are being migrated, be it desktop, be it collaboration and other enterprise applications. So they're moving data centers, they're showing it can be done. So those are all things that are helping motivate our customers to look at cloud PLM.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for going through that. Alesh, any thoughts that you would add on top of what Mike said?
Yeah, it's we see same things. We are talking to the same customers. I think definitely what we see is that the customers are being motivated to switch to the cloud, to use all the benefits that you can use there. So from having everything being maintained by somebody else, so they don't need to spend time and money in doing that. Dealing with probably one of the major issues that they have with the current, with respect to the current processes that they have to manage the PLM data. Usually to maintain different versions, upgrades. This is very expensive, and it's very hard to make any changes with time, because the entire operation depends on that. And of course, with increasing globalization of the workforce, and in addition, even the local workforce spending a lot of time from their homes, that provides additional pressures to for the scalability of the development processes.
No, that's great. Thank you both for just touching on some of these big points around the security, the migration, the scalability, and really the drivers of why moving to cloud PLM is so important. So those are a lot of the whys, and knowing that as they're working through that, there is going to be challenges that may happen, even though there's quite a few benefits. Um, why are customers pausing and not potentially moving forward, moving engineering to the cloud? Any thoughts there of what's happening and maybe why there's hesitation?
Yeah, I'll take a crack at that. In my experience, what I'm seeing is customers are very stratified. So some are very cloud first, but some are really reluctant to work on the cloud. Um, and what I'm observing is that it isn't really as much about feasibility, but it's really about confidence and the ability to support that. So, there's concerns about security and cost and user experience and cloud operations. And really, those can be solved by education experience, right? The workforce is maturing quickly. The other thing is in terms of regulated environments, you have to be careful and deliberate on how you manage those environments. But there's a lot of assumptions that you can't do anything on the cloud when you're working in those environments, and that's not true. You know, the regulations and the practices have matured really rapidly, and government agencies and other regulated companies are seeing the benefits of cloud, and they're trying to enable that safely. The good news is that in many other critical enterprise systems have already moved to the cloud.
Mhm.
CRM was over a decade ago, but now ERPs or even manufacturing execution systems are running successfully on the cloud. So, the paradigms are changing, and that's really helped by company cloud operations and processes that are maturing fast. So, with that maturity brings confidence and education on, how to operate correctly. And I think that's kind of mitigating or reducing the friction there.
No, that's great just to hear kind of maybe why there's pauses and what's going through their mind. And Alesh, as you and your team are talking to customers about these challenges, how does Siemens look at it? Like what are some of the areas that you look at for how to make this more compelling and how to approach it with the customers? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, things have changed quite a bit over the years. I would say there are three major challenges. One is the technology, second is the business model, and third is going through the change, making a decision and get the things done.
Mhm.
Yeah, technology today is pretty much ready. We are now continuously bringing new upgrades to the cloud. Issues that several years ago we had, that's not there anymore. I think the customers are getting comfortable with the business models that we can provide on the cloud, and of course taking the benefit of significantly reduced cost of hosting these solutions on the cloud. I would say the last remaining challenge for these companies is going through the change. I think they all have existing processes in place, and this change does require that they change the processes, that they start doing some things in a bit different way, and also to make people in companies comfortable with these changes.
No, that's great of just making sure that they're comfortable with it and making sure that
Yeah.
they also are aware of all the steps that to take and that you and the team are with them along the way. As you've been working with different organizations and kind of like leaders in this space, um, would love to hear from both of you of like what you're seeing, what they're doing, their approach and their overall philosophy to get there, to see these great successes. Um, Mike, what are your thoughts and what have you been seeing with organizations that have been leaders in this area?
Um, well, it's like other technologies, but really leaders in this area, think about a cloud first mentality, so instead of saying, why cloud, they're kind of asking the questions, why not cloud, right? And by challenging the organization that way, it's helping them inform how they prepare the organization and bring it forward. So, they can come up with all sorts of issues that are challenging them and then to address them, right? So it's a good way to kind of, change your viewpoint in terms of, how to make it work. In terms of organization, building cloud center of excellence that builds cloud skills across the organization and develops the best governance, for their landing zones, for the different applications. Most IT groups are doing this already, but when you have executive sponsorship and empowerment, we find those organizations move and learn much faster. Of course, you need to prioritize security and the planning around that. There's a lot of maturing needed to stay ahead of bad actors. And leaders are really taking a hard look at that. And the old methods towards cybersecurity aren't working, right? And so, there is, certainly the advent of cloud has increased the capability of the attackers, but also the defense, right? And that's something we need to stay vigilant against, and we are vigilant against at Microsoft. And then the other thing is, they don't have to do it in isolation. So at Microsoft, for example, we offer the cloud adoption framework, and that provides best practices and guidelines for both business leaders and the technology enablers. So, taking advantage of that, as well as the partners and the experts, these are ways that, people can accelerate their use of cloud technology.
Well, that's great. Thank you for noting kind of those big points of just making sure cloud is top of mind and security is a priority, and how the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework is available to support. Alesh, anything you would add in regard to what you're seeing for leaders in this space?
Well, it's as we said before, definitely what is motivating these processes is the reduced cost of operation. Use out-of-the-box functionality. And I also have to say that when it comes to all this, we have learned a lot from Microsoft. I think Microsoft and the way Microsoft, for example, handed the Office products, where the products are available on premise, on the cloud, in hybrid mode. That was really something that gave us a lot of useful lessons on how to, on one hand, develop the products and then provide the flexibility of operation, because that's, as we said before, the companies have to figure out how to do the transition and have the ability to provide all these products in different settings, from premise, on the cloud, helps the transition and helps the flexibility that they think that they need in order to proceed with these changes.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to shift for the last couple of questions here to both of you in regard to more the future. So the future of engineering, the future of PLM. And Alesh, maybe I could start with you of like, how do you expect engineering to evolve with all that's happening? What do you foresee?
Well, it's the engineering is going through a major change. I don't think it's just from the perspective of the tool sets that are available, from everything that was done on the computer-aided engineering, CAD, AI recently, but it has a lot to do with how we manage the data, because we have reached a point where, let's say, we can, as we start thinking about the product, conceptualize how the product should be. As we are doing that, we can connect pretty much every group that is going to be involved in the product development, product manufacturing, and even product servicing later on. And as the product is being developed, a proper data management, and very probably all this being done on the cloud, all these different groups can participate in the process. And so let's say if we are in the beginning of the product development, there is no question that connection with even with the services people provides a good input into how the product should be developed. And as the product then reaches the manufacturing and the services, we can still be connected with the design groups, which can continuously improve the product, or as they are designing a new version of the product, use the lessons learned in its improvement. So I would say as a result of that, we're going to see two things. Products, and of course, brought to market sooner, but then also significant improvements of efficiency in ability to achieve more with less, because we also understand that development teams, manufacturing teams are not going to get bigger. So that's pretty much what is going to enable the design and manufacturing of the future.
No, that's great. I think with the priority of looking at the data and just bringing people along, making sure they're involved to participate in the process, the different teams. Um, Mike, anything you would add as far as just how you see engineering, the evolution of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think engineers are going to continue to push boundaries, as they constantly attempt to solve larger and larger problems in the domains of science and engineering. So I expect accelerated adoption of cloud computing as they get creative about how they take on these problems, and also as we provide more and more power as a tech and cloud backbone provider. I think we'll see faster responsiveness and faster cycle times, because what I'm seeing within the process is we're debottlenecking compute intensive tasks that we only dreamed about dealing with before. So that makes the user experience a lot better. You're not taking valuable engineering time to defeature models or fit, on-premise memory constraints. So, with Azure, you can take advantage of thousands of, cores and GPUs and large memory spaces and work in parallel. And so, they can achieve much better understanding because they have better fidelity models or increased accuracy. And I think, the other way it's going to evolve is you're going to see more and improved AI assistance at every step of the process. So, and that's really a virtuous cycle because, AI and models are trained by data and as a result of increased application, we're going to see them get smarter as they're also trained by successes as well as failures.
That's great. No, thank you for walking through that with just how it's evolving with just the faster cycle times and the AI assistance that's helping engineering just evolve and move ahead. The last piece, Alesh, I'll ask you about is the PLM and just how that evolution is happening and what you see in the future there and any thoughts about what's next.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to what we discussed, I mean, definitely the market expects out-of-the-box solutions. The customers want to rely on that. But at the same time, they would also like to have some level of product configurability because that's needed on one hand to adapt the processes to whatever the company's way of getting product to the market is, even corporate culture. So I would say that is going to be a kind of combination of the two, out of the box, but then at the same time provide some ability to configure products. And probably what we're going to see is the tool sets that we're going to provide better connected because it's practically impossible to have just one program. So you people are going to keep use different tool sets for different tasks that they have. And I think that's is going to require that we provide a good integration between them because we would not expect that let's say the customer is going to be just using, let's say, a set of products just from one vendor. So I would say there are two things that we should be expecting here. One is that the customers are going to expect support for digital threads, and that is going to require ability to integrate products, different products, and that really requires an open platform that is going to enable that in a similar way, for example, as let's say Siemens is working very closely with Microsoft. Right?
No, that's great. No, thank you for just noting the tool sets and that the expectation that the integration of products is gonna need to happen, and to do that will help help customers be successful. We've gone through a lot of great information today, so I want to just say a big thank you, Alesh, and thank you, Mike, and thank you for everyone listening and being a part of the webinar today. What are your thoughts for next steps? Would love to hear from both of you of like what would be a couple takeaways after folks have been on the call today. to move forward. And so any guidance there that you have? And Alesh, I'll go with you first if that works.
I think at the time when things are moving very fast, I would say take action in this area. I think what we see is when the customers switch to the cloud, they do it right, they get enormous benefits. And I think that does require action. It's not that complicated. It's not easy either, but I would say take action, right? Get involved, start trying things, right?
I love it. Thank you. And Mike, any final words?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main advice is to think, using the cloud really offers a new way of thinking. It's kind of analogous to the adoption of carbon fiber or additive manufacturing. You just can't apply the current practices to next generation processes. But the good news is, there's a lot of tension in this space. So there's a lot of education and references that are available and being updated and published as best practices emerge. I think it's important to be informed about the cloud and how it's developing so that they build confidence. We talk about thinking big and starting small. So, in the context of engineering, it's experimenting on smaller use cases or steps in the process, like running your test and dev environments or doing virtual CAD desktops or running CAE solvers using cloud computing resources. And it's really easy for engineers to validate those environments and also easy to scale. Plus, it also supports a transition to engineering to the cloud. And it also applies to the same thing, exploring these cloud services in more controlled or regulated environments. It's a learning process, but, the time spent, experiencing it for yourself, will really help you inform your future strategy and make sure you're confident and prepared. And the last thing is, try using or building AI copilots. There's a ton of attention there. There's products from Siemens, from Microsoft, or even, you can quickly build something in-house, right? And it gives companies, that experience that will really inform their future strategies as they understand the huge gains they can make within their engineering and design functions.
No, that's great. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you for just going through all of these great pieces of information, and I hope that for all of you listening, that you can take parts of this and start as you think about what's next for you and your organization. I think, Alesh, to what you mentioned just a few moments ago about switching to the cloud and trying things and taking action, and Mike, to what you said of like thinking big and starting small. And so hopefully from this conversation today, you can take some pieces from that, some information that you can share with your team as you're determining what's next. And also to what, Mike, you said about using AI Copilot. So we're so excited to have you here today and to be working with you in the near future. And just a big thank you to Alesh, to Mike, and to all of you. And have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.